Hey, it's Paul Lemiski from Canadian Woodworks and Legacy Lumber, and today we got a new guy starting on the Woodmizer, so I'm going to give him a very good training session on how we cut 5/4 lumber using this sawmill. Hope you enjoy the video. Thanks so much for tuning in. All right, let's head up to the Woodmizer and finally cut some lumber. Barry, he's probably twiddling his thumbs up there. Who knows? Maybe he's cutting his thumbs off. Hopefully not. All right, we made it up to the Woodmizer finally. I actually ran up here. Yeah. We're here with Barry. Barry's going to come over here. We'll get him in the nice lighting.
How you doing? Here he is. Here he is.
Good friend of ours, and he's ex-hydro employee. A little Sparky, I guess they call you. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And anyways, he's going to be here. I'm going to be showing him how to run the Woodmizer. He helped me out a few days ago, resaw some boards in half, and thinks this is pretty fun.
Yeah, it's good.
We're going to show him its work.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
No, we keep it fun around here. We're cutting 5/4 lumber, so smaller logs, easy to handle lumber. But you know what? There's still some skill involved. And there's all the tips and tricks of the Woodmizer. So this is going to be really a learning experience for Barry.
100%, 100%.
And also for you, if you've never seen a sawmill, run a sawmill, we're going through a full training session of a total new person cutting 5/4 lumber on a Woodmizer with all hydraulic attachments, which is really nice. So he brought a coffee. I'm going to have a little coffee. We're going to get a log on here, and we're going to cut some wood. Saw blade. We got to get one. Saw blade. We keep our saw blades coiled up like this. I have some gloves on, and we try to separate it like this. That's what you want it to look like. So it has this bottom that's dropping off. This is kind of hanging here, and you can see I got one hand. Grab my other hand, and I'm kind of using the inside of my palms, and just carefully you can actually control this blade, and it's going to come right back into shape. We can do the reverse, a little bit more tricky. Flip it over, teeth facing you, my palms are up towards me, and I can do a little twisting motion as I flick the top in towards me. Okay, so we got the blade up. We're going to throw it on the sawmill now. I'll be training Barry like he's working by himself, because he's going to be working by himself, as I have done for many, many years. So you don't need to help me at all. You just kind of pay attention to what I do. It's an 1.5 inch wide blade, which is the max width on the sawmill, so it's a little bit more difficult to get in. But basically, I'm holding it like this with a nice little bend there. We try to kind of catch that wheel, and the bottom edge you try to like flip in like that a little bit, while you're trying to kind of align this stuff where it needs to be. The problem is there's a V wheel on here and it hangs below the wheel, so it's actually easier at this point. And you see I reach behind and I pull that rubber up. That's what I'm doing right there to get the blade behind it. See?
Yes. So
that rubber will like stop that blade.
Gotcha.
So right here too, it looks like you can get that right under, but it's actually hitting that rubber.
Yep.
So you actually come from behind and bend that around a little bit. There you go. Yeah. Yep. And you just get it set relatively good. It's going to center itself. And I do make things look easy though, by the way.
I know you do.
So we'll test Barry later. Now we're going to get on with the tension.
Okay.
All right, awesome. So we're going to tension the blade. Right here it's got a handle that you're just going to spin, Barry.
Yes.
And you're going to crank this up to 4,000.
Okay. First bit's pretty simple. And I'm a little bit older. I'm thinking that's about 3,000 right now?
Yeah, 3,500 now. Generally when we're sawmilling, we'll be keeping the blade around 3,500, but it's going to loosen as it heats up.
I think that's about 4,000 right there.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, Barry's a great trainee. He's already asking the question for the next step, and he actually knows what the next step is. We can just spin this manually. Oh, don't get your finger in there. Just like this manually, and the blade's now going to center itself, Barry.
Yes. Okay.
Which is great. And what we're looking for, typically, is on the wheel here, see this gap? The space from the bottom of this to the wheel?
Yes.
You generally want about 1/8 inch.
Okay.
So actually right now it's actually sticking out a little bit too much.
Okay.
Although this is a maximum wide blade on the mill, so I'm actually pretty happy with that.
Okay.
But that would be the maximum I'd want it forward.
Okay, yeah.
If you wanted to adjust that, this doohickey. There's a thing right here. Yeah, I don't,
That's a formal word.
This here you spin, I just put a wrench in here.
Yes.
and then it'll adjust that wheel.
Okay.
So literally you go a quarter turn and then you spin it manually and you see which way it goes. Okay, so the blade's tensioned. And we've already put a log on the mill, but we'll show you some action of the logs getting on the mill for the next one. And then we're going to put the cover on. This is just a safety cover on this side. Yes, we only put the one on, but generally it keeps the blade in if there's a problem. So that's just like that.
Tighten it down.
Tighten her down, yeah. No, and you don't have to go too crazy on it, just tight. Next up, this is the control center of the sawmill. This is where you're standing pretty much all the time. We have a lever here. The motor will be on all the time. And this, if you pull it down nice and easily like that, it's going to engage the blade will start spinning. To take the blade off is like that. So this is your go-to handle. If there's any problem at all with the sawmill, you would, this is your running position. Any problem at all, weird noise, you feel like the blade's wandering too much, something happens, that's your first thing is kick that off.
Okay.
Now you have all of this, which seems relatively complicated, but it's not. You have an up-down. We can go down, we can go up. And over here is our measurement where we have an actual ruler, 0 up to 35. On the other side here, we have a ruler that is in lumber speed, which is 4/4, 5/4, 6/4, or 8/4. 4/4 is 1 inch, 5/4 is 1.25 inches, 6/4 is 1.5 inches. Although they don't call it 2 inches because there's added material there for shrinkage. So 8/4 should actually be 2 inch plus about 1/8 of an inch, if not a little bit more. So to cut 5/4 lumber, all you need to do is line up this line with the 5, make your cut, and your next cut's going to be the 5, and the 5, and the 5, and the 5. So there's no math, which is very, very nice.
Nice.
We have an adjustable blade guide. So this right here, adjustable blade guide, can go in and out. So right on the control panel, we have a blade guide in and out. All right, so this blade guide in and out, Barry asks, how close do you keep the blade guide? A couple inches of the wood. You don't want to hit the wood, and you don't want to be 6 inches away either. It's just going to have you a flatter cut. That means you can drive the sawmill faster because it's controlling the blade. So your blade's going to last longer because it's not going to dull as fast. You basically want to cut as fast as you can without getting a wavy cut. You'll maximize your blade length that way. So now, talking about speed of the cut, how does this thing drive? It has a rheostat right here that I can turn up and down. So I just have a habit where I always zero it. And we have our adjustable wrench over here, which is the handle for forward and reverse. So you can lock that into forward. I'm on 0, so it's not moving. And then I can adjust my rheostat here. And look at that, folks. This is how easy it is to cut lumber. Just set it and forget it. So cool. And that's about cutting speed. So see, you can adjust it. You can go faster. And then with my left hand, reverse doesn't have a speed adjustment. And it also doesn't lock into reverse. It only locks into forward. So I just have to hold it in reverse and walk back with it. You got one speed, that's it. Off reverse, on reverse. That's all you have. Versus forward, you go from 0, there's full speed, all the way down to, you can have it cutting very, very slow if you want.
When would you go slow? With a hardwood or a softwood?
Wider the wood.
Wider the wood.
Yeah, also a softwood that has really lots of branches because the knot itself is very, very hard. So when you have the softwood to the branch, it wants to go like this over the branch. Every time you're taking the board off, you're kind of glancing at the surface of the wood to see how wavy it is, see how quality of the cut. There's some tricks along the way too that as the sawmill is cutting and you bend down, you look straight down the blade. That's how you can really see how the blade's cutting.
Yes.
So you'll actually see me do this a lot, and you're thinking I'm trying to see where the blade guide is or something, but I'm not. I'm looking at that cut because if you look directly down it, you can see how wavy it is. Number 2 is, if you take the board off and you bring the sawmill back without raising the blade, you can see how the blade rubs the top of the wood. If you notice the blade going like this and there's gaps over the wood, you have a wavy cut also. So there's a couple little tricks along. All right, now we're fortunate to have a hydraulic sawmill, and what does that mean? There's a fence that the log's going to be held against, which is hydraulic. So I have a lever right here that doesn't do the fence. The second one does the fence. Awesome. Next up is a hydraulic clamp that's going to hold the log against the fences. And basically it has 2 positions. When the sawyer is working with somebody and he yells clamp, you want to reverse whatever position it's in. So right now the clamp is down. If I, the sawyer, would yell clamp to my worker, I would expect them to flip it up like this. And there's a bar behind there that keeps that from holding. I can then move this fence over and clamp it against. Once we get too short though, this is at 6 inches. We don't want to cut our own sawmill. I have many, many times. There's some cuts on here. Before you get down to 6 inches, again, you got to yell clamp, or yourself, you have to walk over, flick this, and then flick that down. And now you can cut all the way down to, I think, 1/2 inch, which is pretty amazing. So we're going to flip the fence up and clamp the log against right now. So I like driving the sawmill close to the log so I can see what's going on. Okay, we're within a couple inches, great. Dropping her down. And I just look at the log first. I'm not looking at the measuring stick. Cool, I stop there. I know my blade guide needs to come out. Now I look at here and I look at my closest 5. So my 5 is, that's a close 5. Glance at the cut. And you know what? That's probably pretty good. I'm also above 6 inches. So I know I'm not going to cut my own sawmill.
Yes.
Now you can cut at this 5/4 is the last 5/4 you can cut at.
Yeah.
You can cut that. So we'll get one cut and a second cut.
Okay.
So we're going to engage the blade now, and all you have to do to engage the blade, we turn this to the on switch, the motor will turn on, and then we can engage the blade by pulling the lever. Okay, so this turns out to be an elm log. I didn't even know what it is. It's really, really nice. And this is our first cut. The waste cut's been removed. And now we're going to roll the sawmill over, and we have a hydraulic log turner. So again, one of those switches, I'll pull it. It's going to basically flip the log, but first it'll do the fence. Clamp away, see?
Yeah.
Now this is the fence,
Yeah.
raising the fence. And look, the log turner is going to be engaged once, once the fence is up.
Gotcha.
Now here's the trick. It's only going to go so far. Reset this thing.
Down low.
You can bring this away. That's how easy that is, right?
Yep.
So the clamp just catches the very bottom edge of the log and pushes it against 2 pieces of metal that are on this side that now act as the fence. You don't want to clamp it too tight because now it's flat on the sawmill. If you put the clamp in too tight, it'll lift that log a bit and you're going to get an angled cut. We don't want that. Okay, the first log was on the sawmill. We're going to put another log on now. The step of the Sawyer is the 2 fences got to be up. Because when we put our log on here, we don't want it rolling off the backside of the sawmill. That's like the #1, numero uno. Don't do that. So the fences are up. Fortunately, we have this mini excavator with a thumb. So this can come down, clamp the log, and we're able to place it on there ever so gently. Let's do it. All right, we're up here in the log yard. If you didn't already know, Canadian Woodworks is my furniture business, but I also have a lumber company called Legacy Lumber. And here it is. Give you a bunch of B-roll shots of it. We specialize in huge giant logs like this. We have a whole bunch of lumber that's already sliced up, air drying, especially walnut. Mwah, beautiful walnut. We have a coverall that's stuffed full of Mappa burl that we just imported about 2 months ago from Europe. Really, really nice stuff. And we're drying that ourselves in our vacuum kiln because we want to be in full control of that process so that lumber turns out just fantastic. In fact, we have a load of that in the vacuum kiln right now. So stay tuned. If you need some Mappa burl, get in touch. And then we have our 2 sawmills. We have a sawmill that can cut 72 inches wide. We have our sawmill shed that we have our sharpener in. We sharpen all of our own blades with an automatic sharpener. And then we have the Woodmizer Sawmill, which cuts all of our smaller stuff. All right, that was a terrific day. Barry is an excellent student. He did very, very well in the sawmill. We spent all the morning until lunch, him and I hand in hand, and after lunch I let the reins loose. I let him use the mill himself. I was in the area cleaning up the yard a little bit, so if I noticed, you know, a little tip I could give him, I guess, I would hop out, give him a little tip on what's going on. But overall, we did really good. We sawmilled this stack of lumber I'm sitting on. Beautiful spalted maple. There's some Siberian elm in here, and some really, really nice ash. I love me some nice ash. You know what I'm saying? Thanks everyone for tuning in. Hopefully you learned something. If you've never been around a sawmill, this was a pretty cool video, I hope. Let me know below in the comments. Of course, smash that like button, subscribe if you're not already, and you can even hit that bell and you'll get notified when a new movie comes out. New video. So hit that bell. Let's go. We're done. Till next time everyone, make it a great one. It's like a slap shot. My nuts.